And Thomas signs the qualifying offer with the Brooklyn Nets. How does this affect Bulls restricted free agent Josh Giddey? And have the Bulls made their final offer towards the Australian star? We'll talk about it right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome back to another episode of Whole Lot of Bull. I'm Troy. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Troy, and you can follow the show at Whole Lot of Bull. So the Brooklyn Nets, Cam Thomas, is the first domino to fall in this off season's restricted free agency. We also Cam Thomas, our own Josh Giddey, Quentin Grimes, and Jonathan Kuminga, all restricted free agents have gone through the entire off season without getting any deals done. Obviously, because there's been essentially no market for any restricted free agents this off season, primarily because there's been no cap space for teams. The only team that had any cap space to sign anyone was the Brooklyn Nets, and yeah, Cam Thomas has signed a $6 million qualifying offer to return to Brooklyn next year, which basically means come next season he's up out of there. He ain't no way. I don't see him going back to Brooklyn. After this upcoming season. Now, what does that mean for for the Chicago Bulls, Josh Giddey? Now, obviously, Josh Giddey is still has he's been reportedly wanting $30 million. The Bulls reportedly have only been offering $20 million, and there's been some word come out today that the Chicago Bulls have potentially made their final offer to Josh Giddey, and this comes from Bobby Marks. Apparently the offer is a 4-year, $88 million deal, which works out to be $22 million AAV. And Brett Siegel, I believe, also came out and reported that the offer has potentially gone up to 4 years, $90 million, a $90 million deal, which is only an extra 500K a year, so at $22.5 million. It'd be interesting to see if this is the last and final offer from Chicago for Josh Giddey. If that and I personally don't see Giddey going for the qualifying offer. And as much as I've been a supporter of Giddey getting his money, I've been wanting him to see him get between 25 and $30 million. The Bulls have been absolutely, and everyone has said it all off season. Like we've beaten this drum to death. But the Bulls have been well in the right, especially when there's been no market for restricted free agents this offseason, to negotiate in this way and try and get Josh Giddey down to a number that works best for them for their to help with their cap flexibility going forward. Also, we know coming into the next offseason that the Bulls are going to have quite a fair bit of cap space, probably the most potentially the most cap space in the entire league next year. Now, we've had that discussion before. What can you do with cap space? Obviously, sign free agents, trade, absorb contracts, all that sort of stuff. Hell, they may even just resign their own free agent and just keep it pushing. And now, how does Cam Thomas's qualifying offer a deal affect Josh Giddey? I personally don't think it's going to have any impact on Josh whatsoever. I think to be, and I've said this on Twitter today since the news came out with Cam Thomas that I personally think that Quentin Grimes and Jonathan Kuminga are both going to sign their qualifying offers, whereas Josh Giddey is going to be the one who signs a proper contract. And I think he's probably going to end up signing this 4-year, $88 million deal or $90 million, whatever it ends up being. Um, which it's considering the market, it's good money for Josh Giddey. Clearly, he's not going to get $25 million plus per year. As much as some of us Bulls fans wanting him to get 25 plus or more, obviously there's a large portion of the Bulls fan base that don't think he's even worth a qualifying offer. Which you're all stupid, like you're just dumb. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Now the deadline, we're coming up to just under a month from the deadline for Josh Giddey to agree to the qualifying offer. Then that does not mean he can't still negotiate and agree to a proper contract after this deadline is passed. This deadline is just purely for the qualifying offer and not an actual deal. So this deal could potentially drag on into October, and hopefully that's not the case. But it's definitely remains to be seen. Now, another part in this where Cam Thomas signing the qualifying offer could also potentially affect the Chicago Bulls is upcoming unrestricted free agent Coby White. Now, there's been word going around that Coby White's going to be demanding more than $30 million a year. And with Cam Thomas, let's look at Cam Thomas's numbers for last season. Now, he only played 25 games. Obviously, he was injured for quite a large chunk of the season, but he did average 24 points a game on it was just a 49% shooting. Actually, no, excuse me, 44% shooting. Not great. He was shooting a shade under 49% from 2 point range, and a, sh- a smidgen under 35% from three at just under 8 attempts a game. So he's getting up a lot of shots. He was getting up 18 shots per game last season. Again, only 25 games, 23 of those were starts. And Cam Thompson's only played 215 games in his 4-year NBA career so far. I mean, first year average 8.5 points a game. Then he goes to 10.6, 22.5 in the 23-24 season, and then obviously this last year at 24 points a game. So a career average of 15.1. Could Coby White potentially play himself into a much larger contract with Chicago Bulls? Absolutely, of course he could. Could he now? Word is there's going to be a number of teams. And I haven't looked at each team's cap sheets. I don't have access, or not sure where to find that. Hayes, I'm sure you can point me out where to find that information, brother. Um, but there's going to be a number of teams with salary cap flexibility next season, and Coby White, if he plays all of next season like he did the end of last year, Kobe's going to play himself into a massive payday. Now, whether Chicago Bulls are going to be willing to pay that for Kobe, I think they probably will. And don't worry, yes, the Bulls will still be able to sign Io DeSumo as well. But Cam Thomas, does he give you potentially the same scoring offensive output as a Kobe White without needing the ball as much? Now, I personally think Cam Thomas is a bit of a chucker. Um, as you can see by his shooting percentages, they're not great. He does get up a lot of shots, but he doesn't need the ball to create his own shot. He can be a spot up player for you, which he will benefit greatly from playing alongside of Josh Giddey, because we all know that Josh Giddey is in like the 98th percentile of creating wide open shots for his teammates. So Cam Thomas can absolutely thrive alongside of a Josh Giddey. So could he be someone that the Bulls potentially target if they decide to let Coby White walk in free agency next season? The Bulls are definitely going to have the money to pursue him if they choose to do so. Now, I don't see him getting any more than $25 million in an open market. Um, by all reports, he was chasing around that $30 million a year as well, where the Brooklyn Nets were reportedly only offering as much. I think the highest they got was $13-14 million. So he ends up signing the qualifying offer of $6 million. Now, I don't see Josh Giddey signing his qualifying offer of $11.1 million. I just don't see it happening. But it's definitely gonna be something to take note of over the course of the season, especially once we get into next season's free agency. Are the Bulls gonna be willing to pay out for Coby White, especially if he absolutely balls out this coming season? And if Cam Thomas can have a healthy season and play 65 plus games and puts up the same amount of points per game? And can he get his field goal percentages up a bit better, be a bit more efficient offensively? Because he only had an effective field goal percentage last season of 51.3%. Now, I'm not a huge analytics guy, but I don't think that number's overly great. Could be wrong, but hey, let me know down in the comments below. Hey, what's a good effective field goal percentage? Because I'm not analytics. I don't know. I go by true the actual numbers, not analytics. So that's something that's really we're going to keep an eye on coming into in next off season once Coby White does become a free unrestricted free agent, and same thing with Ida Sumu. But there is absolutely a world where you can retain, and we signed Josh Giddey this offseason to a long-term deal, and you can absolutely also sign Coby White and Oda Asuma to contracts as well. It's not a matter that they're gonna have to choose one over the other. They can re-sign both if they choose to do so. Now, some other slight news that came out over the weekend, and the way that this was reported by one of these Twitter accounts got some Bulls fans a little bit excited, and then they're let down once they continued reading what was written. But Nikola Vucevic has retired from FIBA International Basketball with Montenegro. He played his last game against Great Britain in a loss, and Vucevic absolutely balled out in his last game. And essentially, he's the only reason why Montenegro was any hope whatsoever in the Eurobasket whatsoever. He had, like 31 points, 12 rebounds, like 7 assists in his final game. Shot like 8 or 14 from the field and 2 or 4 from 3. And one of those misses from the 3 from beyond the arc was essentially a last 30-second heave to try and get the final margin down and potentially keep Montenegro in the game. So he had actually a really good shooting effort, and you could see the passion that Vucevic plays with when he's representing Montenegro. Obviously, to all these European guys representing their country, and the same goes for here in Australia. And generally, there's a real extra passion behind representing your country when you're playing international hoops, whether it be in Eurobasket, where it be the FIBA Asia Cup, which Australia just recently played. No, even while in that FIBA Asia Cup, the Boomers didn't have the star players like the Josh Giddey and Dyson Daniels and Matisse Thybulle and all those guys. The guys that still put on that Australian Boomers jersey, they wear it with absolute pride. And the same goes with all these other international countries, like Luka Doncic with Serbia, with Slovenia, excuse me, Nikola Jokic with Serbia. I mean, all these guys, Giannis Antetokounmpo with Greece. These guys wear their country's jersey with absolute pride, probably more pride than what they do playing in the NBA. And hopefully, one day we might see the American. Now, I'm not saying the Americans don't do it because, like, we know that the Americans are one of the most patriotic countries in the world, if not the most patriotic. But when it comes to the players themselves, it'd be great to see the absolute best of the best players wanting to represent the United States every single World Cup, every single Olympics, rather than go, oh yeah, we're not interested in playing. They send basically like the B or C team, if you want to call it that. USA lose, and then they go, oh shit, we need to get back the American pride. So congratulations to Nikola Vucevic on a great career representing Montenegro. I know he's done that with absolute pride, and obviously it disappointed that he couldn't advance further in the Eurobasket. Um, but no, he's represented his country well. But now, um, the funny part was some Bulls fans actually thought he was just retiring from basketball completely, when that is not the case. He will be with the Chicago Bulls this upcoming season and likely beyond. If we're being honest about it, as much as some of us, including myself, do want to move on from Nikola Vucevic, but not because he's a bad basketball player. He's just not the best fit for what this team needs at the center position. but he's a perfectly good basketball player. He's gonna get you his 18 and 10. He's gonna do it on mostly effective, shooting splits. So, hey, as long as Nikola Vucevic is in a Bulls uniform, as much he does frustrate me at times, I'm gonna support Vooch as long as he's in a Bulls uniform, and if he ends up moving on at the trade deadline or next off season when he becomes an unrestricted free agent, then so be it. But yeah, getting back to the this offer for Josh Giddey, the 4 years, 88 to $90 million deals. For the love of God, can we just get this deal done, please? We are sick of talking about it. I know Josh Giddey was here in Adelaide last night watching his best mate Tom Mitchell play for the Collingwood Football Club, who got a win in the qualifying final over the Adelaide Crows last night, even though the Crows were favoured to be the favourite. But yeah, Josh Giddey was in town for that game last night to support his mate, and I'm sure at some point we'll see Josh Giddey return back to Chicago and hopefully get this deal done. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Whole Lot of Bull. Again, so leave some comments down below. Tell me what you're thinking of. What is a good effective field goal percentage? Does Josh Giddey deserve a 4 year, 88 to $90 million deal? Do you think he deserve? Do you not think he's worth that much? Do you think he's worth more? Drop some comments down below. Leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. So appreciate you all for tuning in. So don't forget you can follow me on Twitter at whole lot of bull. You can follow me personally if you like at bulls_Troy. So until next time, Bulls fans, see red. Be good.